me hint. Okay, Hamiltonian of the system of n non-interacting spin of particle, it is given like this. Okay, again this kind of problem we are going to solve in Ising model. Okay, that is there in the, I think, 10th chapter of Reef. Anyway, we shall see that one. First let me try to solve this one. Now the Hamiltonian of a system of n non-interacting particle, that Hamiltonian is given like this. Okay, summation over minus mu naught b summation over I S I Z component. Okay, S I Z component. Now he said that, yeah, this S I Z, that's equal to plus or minus 1. Okay, that's what he said. uh, where S I Z are the component of ith spin along the external magnetic field at temperature T. The he has given temperature T like this. Okay, the temperature T is like this. Again, from this one you should grab the temperature T, apply log here, mu naught b by kb into T, that's equal to log 2. Okay, after applying log, that's why T is equal to temperature T, whatever he's talking about, or kb into T, that's equal to mu naught b by ln of 2. Okay, he's talking about this temperature. We should find some quantity, the specific heat per particle at this one. Okay, one thing that I'm going to suggest here is, again, the most general point here, this Hamiltonian, you have energy, am I right? I is equal to actually 1 to n. There are n non-interacting particle. You can write this one as minus mu naught b s1z plus of, again, plus of minus mu naught b s2z plus and so on n times. Am I right? Now look at here. When you see one of this energy term, I'll write it as EI. Okay, that's equal to minus mu naught b S I z. Okay, for ith particle, energy of the one particle, ith particle. Now look at here. This have got two possible energy. When you put S I z is equal to plus or minus 1, this E I have got two possible energy. Now what I'm going to do here is, I'm not going to write it as E I, because look at here, all particles have got same energy levels, isn't it? This is energy of first particle, energy of second particle, and so on. So all particles have the same energy, and energy is additive. Okay, observe this thing. All particles have same possible single particle energies. Single particle energy. And again, total energy is addition of single particle energy, additive. So if there is any interaction between them, you may not able to add again, you may not able to write, again, this is a Hamiltonian actually. You should write your total energy like this. Okay, so suppose minus again the again suppose again, when you substitute these possible values here, you will get total energy actually. So either plus 1 minus 1, again those are all again probabilistic. Again, whether S1z will be plus 1 or minus 1, again we shall see that one. Now all particles have same possible single particle energies. What are those possible single particle energy? Let me write it as E, that's equal to minus mu naught b s z, where s z is plus or minus 1. Let me write it as E1, that is ground state, that's equal to, let me take S1z is equal to minus 1 minus mu naught into b. Another one is E2, that's equal to plus mu naught into b. Okay, let me take these are the single particle energy. Okay, total energy is because of, again, addition of these kind of energies. Again, each of those things are probabilistic. You can't, again, it's just like, look at here, when you see single particle, it has got two possible energies, so that again here also you again, so these are the those two possibility. Okay, now since he is asking per particle, that's why I can concentrate on one particle. I can concentrate on one particle, I can write this down. Okay, so grab the idea here. Okay, since energy, total Hamiltonian is so written as interaction term of individual spin of atom with external magnetic field. Total Hamiltonian is additive, that's why energy also become additive. So that is the idea. I can write my total energy here, E is equal to E1 plus E2, sorry, so total energy capital E for n particle plus and so on of 2, so En, is that okay? So where my Ei can be, plus or minus mu naught into b, that you can see here. Okay, Ei. So energy of ith atom, that can be either plus mu, again minus mu naught into B, or plus mu naught into B. You have to substitute that one again. So to substitute, you should know the probabilities actually. So what again is just like tossing n coins actually. Okay, it all depends on probability. Now look at here, he's talking about specific heat per particle. Now this is exactly similar to n particle system, where each of the particle have got well defined individual particles. So it's individual single particle energy. That's why we can deal with one particle. For n particle system, we can multiply with n. Is that okay? So that's what we have done, isn't it? We have written Z1, then so partition function or Zn, we have written Z1 whole power n, isn't it? So we have calculated using a single particle energy state. We calculated average energy, total average energy we have written as n into, so average energy of single particle. We can use all of these. So when we can use all of these, when energy is additive, and each of these single particle energy levels are modeled exactly in the same manner. Okay, in that situation you can make use of all of these. But anyway, he's asking specific heat for one particle, specific heat per particle, not specific heat or something for n particle here. Okay, now I can find specific heat per particle here, CV per particle. I can write specific heat for n particle, that's equal to n into CV, like that. Okay, so those are all so related like this. Now look at here, it's quite easy. Can you find partition function? Small z here. Okay, what is the partition function? E power minus beta E1 plus e power minus beta E2, two possible energy for single particle. That's equal to e power beta mu naught B plus e power minus beta mu naught B. That I can write it as 2 cos hyperbolic beta mu naught into B. Now once you see this Z, you should quickly write what is the answer. Again, right now you can't write the answer. Wait a second, he's talking about specific heat. Anyway, we shall do that. Okay, then what is the average energy? Average energy would be minus dou by dou beta of ln of Z. That's equal to, what is this one? 2 cos hyperbolic beta mu naught B into what is this one? 2 times sine hyperbolic beta mu naught B multiplied with n1. So tell me if any steps are wrong. Okay, into beta derivative, am I right? Mu naught into B, am I right? Anyone? Average energy per particle, that is tan hyperbolic, isn't it? This is spin half particles. We have seen this kind of thing in case of our, what do you call, what is that problem of paramagnetism, isn't it? We haven't found specific heat over there. We found only, I think, magnetization over there. Okay, now we need to find specific heat. That's equal to minus mu naught into B multiplied with tan hyperbolic beta mu naught into B. Okay, now specific heat CV per particle. Again, I have written everything for one particle. That's equal to, yeah. So are you there? Anyone? Minus 1 by kBt square dou by
Yes, sir.
dou beta of
Yes, sir.
average energy. Am I right? Dou by dou beta of average energy. That's equal to minus 1 by kBt square. What is beta derivative of this one? Tan hyperbolic is secant hyperbolic square. Am I right? Into one more mu naught B is there. Wait a second. Minus 1 by kBt square. He has written in terms of, yeah, again we have to substitute that kBt here. Okay, we have to substitute this kBt later. I think one more mu naught, again minus sign will come here. That's why mu naught B. What is tan hyperbolic derivative? Am I right? Secant hyperbolic square. Secant hyperbolic square beta mu naught B into mu naught B. Am I right? Anyone? Anything is wrong here? Tan hyperbolic, I think positive. Am I right? Sine hyperbolic, cos hyperbolic, tan hyperbolic, those derivatives are positive. Okay, cosecant, secant, and what do you call, cot hyperbolic, those derivatives are negative. That's how I remember. Am I right? Anyone quickly comment? Now you should find this one at this temperature. Okay, at this particular temperature he mentioned. That's why you have to put, look at here, let me write in beta. So again, you can write this one by kBt is actually beta is equal to ln of 2 by mu naught into b. You better to write it like this. uh, yeah, again I better to multiply and divide by kb, so that kbt the whole square will happen, kb into beta square, that's what I can write here, into mu naught b the whole square. So secant hyperbole square beta mu naught b. And I think I have to substitute this beta. Again, we need specific heat at this temperature. That's equal to kb into beta square ln of 2 divided by mu naught b the whole square mu naught b the whole square secant hyperbole square of beta into mu naught b is ln of 2. Now I think kb ln of 2 the whole square. What is this one? I have to evaluate this one. 1 by cos hyperbolic ln of 2 the whole square cos hyperbolic x is equal to e power x minus plus e power minus x whole divided by 2 cos hyperbolic of ln of 2, that's equal to e power ln of 2 minus plus e power minus ln of 2 divided by 2. E power ln of 2 you can write as 2, e power minus ln of 2 you can write as 2 power minus 1 whole divided by 2. That means 2 plus 1 by 2 whole divided by 2. I think 4, sorry, 4 plus 1 5, 5 by 4, isn't it? So 5 by 4, that's what I got. 5 by 4 the whole square, am I right? kb ln of 2 the whole square 1 divided by 5 by 4 the whole square, that's equal to 16 by 25 kb ln of 2 the whole square. Am I right about this answer? Somebody quickly reply. I just explained initial steps,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
but you should do it very quickly, okay. Again, after some practice, after getting some idea, you should get that idea and quickly you should move on, okay. I hope this is clear. So whenever he has given whatever Hamilton for so total system, whatever he has given, whenever you feel that your energy is additive and individual energy levels or single particle energy levels are modeled in exactly same manner, or each particle in the system, n particle system, each individual particle have got same set of energy level, then you can calculate everything for a single particle, and you can find, you can use this formula for n particle phase system, okay. But anyway, he asked for per particle, that's why we don't have to find for total particle here, okay, in any of these steps. Any question here? So quickly, any question? Yeah, now let me move on to this one. Hamiltonian of one-dimensional Ising model of Yan spin is given like this. Okay, this Ising model I'm going to discuss. It's there in the 10th chapter. Okay, now that Hamiltonian is again written. Look at here, summation over I equal to 1 to what happened over there? Any problem? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, no problem.
Uh, a computer plug the computer plug. Black color ಇದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು CPU ಇದು. Yes, I hope yeah, actually I'm not there in YouTube. Wait a second, let me open it up.
Everything is fine, sir, in YouTube too.
Yeah, okay, again my PC was not working, I just switched off. Yeah, now look at here. H is equal to I equal to 1 to n, okay, minus j into sigma I plus 1. Okay, this is quite different from earlier problem. Earlier problem we defined individual particle energy, but we have, this is an interaction term, okay. This is the energy for a particle. Again, suppose again this energy is defined as a interaction term actually. I think somebody wish to join. But I'm going to apply the same logic here, okay? So even though this is an interaction term, actually I can write it like this. I'm write minus j into sigma 1, sigma 2, plus of minus j into sigma 2, sigma 3, plus and so on, isn't it? I can just so continue like this. Now where sigma I, that's equal to plus or minus 1, okay? Sigma I is equal to plus or minus 1. He gave these possible values actually. Now I'm going to imagine, look at here, after this is the Hamiltonian, after substitution of sigma I, which is equal to plus or minus 1, you can write your energy as, let me write this one as E1, let me write this one as E2, so plus and so on. Look at here, your total energy is a kind of additive thing. Is that okay? Again, but this is not energy corresponds to first particle, energy corresponds to second particle. This is the interaction energy between first two particle. This is the interaction energy for second two particle, like that. Is that okay? So, but still I can write my total energy in terms of sum of these part, but these are not individual particle energy, but similar to earlier. So this is sum of some n term. I can just write this plus en like that. Okay, or en plus 1 or something, isn't it? What would happen first or second particle? I equal to 1 to n, am I right? N and n plus 1 would happen for n term, but he said only n particles are there. That's why I think you should end up with E sigma n minus 1 and sigma n. You should end up here because only n particles are there, like that, whatever. Okay, so since this term is very large, n is very large, it doesn't matter whether there is one. Okay, so whether last term is this one or whether last term is again sigma n plus 1. Okay, it doesn't matter. He gave in the question that n is very large here. Just observe that fact. Okay, now the ultimate thing is my energy is additive. Let me not worry about the last energy term or something. My energy is additive. Okay, so whether I have n number of term or n plus 1 number of term, it doesn't matter because n is very large, and each of this term will not contribute that level. Okay, for total energy, the individual contribution is quite low, but again, those all individual contribution added to give total energy. Okay, whenever I have energies additive, I choose again again individual part. Okay, I'm going to write so possible energy for ith of this energy term. Okay, I'll call it as energy term because these are not single particle energies. These are energy corresponds to adjacent particle interaction actually. That's why again let me call ith energy term. Okay, so earlier I called this
Sir,
one as energy for ith particle. Yes, tell me.
sir, in case if n is very small, will it affect the total solution, sir?
Yes, definitely. Then each and every term would contribute much. Am I right? Now you have very large many term, so that's why according to this summation, his last term should be sigma n plus one. Again, that you have taken n plus one atoms, isn't it? So that should not happen. That's why I could have ended with this one actually, sigma n minus 1 and sigma n, so that in the energy you would have n minus 1 number of term. It doesn't matter. Okay, look at here at the end, it doesn't matter. Let me show you for our answer. Okay, whether there are n particle or n plus 1 particle, it doesn't matter. But observe that energy terms are additive. Okay, and I'm going to call it as individual energy term. Earlier I called that one as individual particle energy, but these are not individual particle energy, this interaction term. But look at here, mathematically these term, all of these term have got two possible value. Look at here, minus j into sigma I plus 1. Okay, so not two possible value. Wait a second, this has four possible value, I think. Okay, let me check it out again. When sigma I plus 1, I better to put a table, am I right? sigma I plus 1, sigma I into sigma I plus 1. Okay, plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 minus 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 minus 1, am I right? You will have plus 1, you will have minus 1 minus 1 plus 1. Okay, so you got two what you call two possible what you call positive product here corresponds to, let me call that one as E1. Okay, minus j. when this is plus 1, but its degeneracy is 2. You got 2 microstate corresponds to this one. Okay, G1 is equal to 2. So E2, that's equal to minus J again, so corresponds to these two. That's equal to plus J. Its degeneracy G2, that's equal to 2.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, I'm not getting why you are equating interaction energy and the individual particle energy both.
Again, I told this is not individual particle energy, but still I have used the same symbol. That's it. I said these are the, I'll call this one as energy term. First energy term, second energy term. Okay, maybe in case of n particle system, again in the earlier problem, maybe we got the same thing, E is equal to E1 plus E2 plus E3. Okay, but these energies were individual particle energy. Now I don't call it as a individual particle energy, I call it as an individual term in the energy. But exactly this will behave similarly. I mean, mathematically, this energy expression, when you see the possible values of this individual, again this energy expression, when you see the possible values for individual, exactly same thing is happening. Only thing is here you got again 4 possible possibility again. So with degeneracy 2 here, we had no degeneracy here. That is the only difference. I
Okay,
hope you
sir.
got my idea. I don't call it as a single particle energy. I call it as a energy term. Look at here. I'm going to apply this technique whenever my Hamiltonian is additive, whenever my total energy is additive, and individual energy terms which have same energy levels. That also happened in case of n particle system. Where individual particle energy levels are modeled exactly in the same manner and they had same energy level. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now don't forget this degeneracy factor. Okay, because look at here, there are two state corresponds to this product plus 1 corresponds to energy minus J. So there are two different state corresponds to this one. Okay, so plus J. Now let me quickly write single term partition function, not single particle partition function, but since exactly similar thing is happening, I'm just writing as a same term. Okay, that's equal to, I think, 2 e power minus beta j plus 2 e power plus beta j. I can write as 2 into 2 cos hyperbolic beta j. Okay, so I got z for individual term. Okay, now look at here, he is asking average of this one. Am I right? Now look at here, average of this one is nothing but average of some energy, some one particle, isn't it? So can I write average of this one? Again this average will come in the average of this one. Now let me write it like this. I can write E is equal to minus J into sigma I plus 1. So average of this one is nothing but average of this one. Can I write like this? Average of this energy, that's equal to minus J, that's constant, that's equal to average of sigma I plus 1. Am I right? This is nothing but average energy per particle. Similar, okay? This is similar to average energy per particle. I can calculate it by minus dou by dou beta of ln of z again. I think small z. That's equal to, I think, what would happen? One more minus beta minus j tan hyperbolic beta j. Anyone? Is that okay? So now this minus j tan hyperbolic beta j, just check it out. Okay, so that is equal to minus j into average of sigma I plus 1. I can cancel it, so that average of sigma I plus 1 is equal to tan hyperbolic beta j. Any question here? I hope you got the idea. The confidence here is whenever Hamiltonian is additive, I can just take individual energy term. I can develop all of my calculation for individual energy term, and I can get the quantity whatever he is expecting. That's why I'm going to choose this one. So now this particular question, by just looking into this one, you should be able to answer, because this term is the energy term, isn't it? So that energy term have got two possible energy, either positive or negative. Am I right? somehow your partition function will be cos hyperbolic, so that you will get your resultant part as tan hyperbolic. Look at here, all of them are different, isn't it? If some two of those option contain tan hyperbolic function, then again it may lead to you I mean lead to some confusion, but only one of the option is tan hyperbolic. That's why again by some practice or by some depth idea, you should quickly choose the option. Any question here? Try to think it yourself.
Sir,
Yes.
in this statement, he has mentioned at the inverse temperature. Why he has mentioned this statement?
No, beta he called that one as a inverse temperature. Okay, beta is equal to 1 by kb into T. He called this one as inverse temperature. Beta is an inverse temperature because that is inversely related to actual temperature we discuss. So in some book they'll write kBT itself as a temperature. They write it as a tau. Suppose if you see some problem from Princeton or something, again they'll write kBT itself as tau. Okay, those are all different words. You should not worry about that one. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Any further question on this one? I hope you understood. Even though I don't have single particle energies which are added, but I have energy term which are added, where each individual energy term behaves in the same manner. That's why I can deal with the problem as similar to n particle system, where individual particles have got same energy level. Yeah. Any further question?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, what does this correlation function exactly mean?
Again, for correlation function, I think that comes further theory. Anyone who studied that part, correlation function? Anyone in higher physics can comment on this one? Correlation, again, it's a kind of a term which is not separable actually. Yeah, somewhere I think maybe yeah, these kind of things are explained in Griffith's appendix part actually. I don't know when I'm going to discuss that one. Anyone? Or you better Google it, okay? Spin correlation like that. Right now.
Okay, sir.
We haven't taken much application of this one. But I forgot because I too haven't studied in very detail, but I had little exposure. But right now I couldn't able to comment on this one, what exactly that correlation function again it is quite difficult. Okay, I mean to convince this kind of spin interaction, that's quite difficult. We shall see. Okay, we shall see that one in Ising model. Ising model. So let me try to give some idea. So Reef has also given some idea in case of Ising model. Okay, yeah, I think he said that Ising model and all. Again, we haven't discussed that one, but this problem doesn't require that one. Okay, he gave what is the correlation function. Okay, he hasn't just said correlation function, but he gave the expression for that one. Okay, yeah, quickly, any further questions?
No, sir.
Yes, let me move on to one more question here. This is quite very easy. Again, only thing is you should see this question in one particular manner. Partition function for two-level system. Okay, it is governed by this one. Two-level system is governed by some Hamiltonian, isn't it? What is the energy, possible energy? So eigenvalues are possible energies. Am I right? What are the eigenvalues? Eigenvalues are energy. How do you find eigenvalue? Gamma minus lambda minus delta minus gamma minus lambda is equal to 0. You should find this lambda. Am I right? Gamma minus lambda into minus gamma minus lambda minus delta square is equal to 0. Gamma minus lambda, gamma plus lambda minus delta square is equal to 0. Gamma square minus lambda square. I can cancel out this negative sign by multiplying whole thing by negative, plus delta square is equal to 0. Gammas again, I need to solve it for lambda square. Am I right? Lambda square is equal to gamma square plus delta square. Lambda is equal to plus or minus root of gamma square plus delta square. These are the energy. Okay, E plus, let me write E plus, that's equal to plus root of gamma square plus delta square, or E1. E2 is equal to minus root of gamma square plus delta square. Using these two, you can find partition function. He said partition function, isn't it? Now this is purely way of thinking question. Is that okay? He gave partition function. Again, obviously in the partition function, he might have used energy. How to get the energy? He has given Hamiltonian. How do you get the energy? Energies are eigenvalues. So that's it. Is that okay? I think you get again cos hyperbolic, isn't it? One energy is positive, other is negative. You can write in 2 cos hyperbolic. That's the correct one. Is that clear? Anyone? Just a way of thinking question. Okay. Any question regarding this one? So quickly, someone reply.
No, sir.
Yes. This particular question is not very well designed, but you should add some comment here. The system of non-interacting spin half particle placed in external magnetic field, the behavior of the entropy of the system as a function of energy. Okay. Now the missing term here is, anyone who wish to join? Yeah, look at here. In this one, the missing term is, he hasn't said it is not necessary, it is in thermal equilibrium at temperature T. It not necessarily in thermal equilibrium. Okay, so and each spin particle have got two possible energy. Okay, he said entropy of the system, but when you see the draw, the entropy varies from minus mu h to plus, again energy varies from minus mu h to plus mu h and all. That's why he's talking about entropy per particle. Okay, entropy per particle. Now we shall analyze. Okay, this is not necessarily in thermal equilibrium. If it is in thermal equilibrium at temperature T, the probability, again the energy levels are what you call probabilistic. That probability is given by probability of getting energy is proportional to e power minus beta e, your Boltzmann factor. Okay, but he hasn't said they are in thermal equilibrium. That's why any possibility that you have to take, all possibility you have to take. Okay, now look at here. In this situation, you have n, so interacting particle with lower energy minus mu h, upper energy plus mu into h. Okay, so now again, what is the minimum value of the entropy? Actually, again, your minimum value of the entropy when all particles are here, isn't it? Zero number of particles here. Am I right? N1 is equal to n, N2 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the one. Again, when all particles are here, what is the number of microstate in this situation? Number of microstate equal to 1. Okay, so in that case, your total entropy is equal to 0. Okay, S is equal to 0. But in this situation, what is the energy? What is the total energy? Total energy is equal to minus n mu into h, isn't it? And energy per particle, that's equal to, or again he has written entropy of the system actually. That's why I better to put n here. Okay, I better to multiply with n here, because he has taken like this, but he hasn't taken care. Okay, or you can go for entropy per particle later. After evaluating entropy for a total system, you can talk about entropy per particle. Okay, now look at here. What is the energy? Energy is equal to minus n mu h, isn't it? Now there is one more situation where entropy is equal to 0, which is the situation, that is n2 is equal to n. All number of particles are in the excited state. N1 is equal to 0. In this case also, number of microstate is equal to 1. Or you can find number of microstate is equal to n factorial divided by n1 factorial, n2 factorial, that's equal to 1 in this case as well as in this case. Okay, minus mu h plus mu h. In these two situation, again number of microstate is equal to 1, entropy is equal to 0. Again entropy is equal to kb log of number of microstate. Okay, Boltzmann what you call entropy expression. That's the energy is equal to, since all particles are here, n mu into h. Okay, you can define energy per particle, that's mu into h, entropy per particle like that. But again, let me define it like this. Now when entropy will be maximum, So third possibility, when again these are the situation when entropies were 0. That's why I can eliminate these two options. Look at here, my entropy is 0 here, 0 here, my entropy is 0 here. I think I would take this one as I think plus mu n mu h into n. Okay, he hasn't mentioned, but let me take it like this. Okay, so entropies are 0 at these 2 points. Okay, in this situation and in this situation, that means at these two energies, total energies, your entropies were 0 for this option and this option. For these two options, entropy is non-zero here, entropy is non-zero here. That's why I'm going to eliminate that one. Okay, but again, think when entropy is 0, entropy is 0, think when entropy is maximum. Entropy is maximum when n1 is equal to n by 2, when n2 is equal to n by 2. Okay, actually when it is in thermal equilibrium, this situation will not happen. Why? This is a population inversion situation. Can you just see this one? This situation will never happen. That's why population inversion is not possible with only two level system. I hope I have already discussed this one. The maximum entropy can happen in this situation. So since n is very large, in this case you can write this one as n factorial divided by n1 by 2 factorial, n2 by 2 factorial, but you can use some Stirling approximation to write entropy is equal to kb log of number of level minus mu h plus mu h, so 2 power n. And in this situation, your total energy, that's equal to n by 2 into minus mu h added with n by 2 into plus mu h, that's equal to 0. This is the maximum entropy situation. You got total energy 0, so your total energy is 0 when entropy is maximum. Again, the same thing happening here also. Okay, there is a confusion between option A and D, but again, look at here. So you can have any entropy between this maximum value, okay, between this minimum value. Anything can happen between minus, again, this negative total energy and this positive total energy. There is no possible energy greater than this one. That's why you can eliminate this option. You can choose this option. Any question? I hope it's a rough idea that I gave. I hope that is convincing. I have taken three situations. Okay, again, this also looks like this one, but there is no other energy values. Okay, there is no other energy value. Again, maximum energy is plus mu h into n, plus mu h into n. This is the maximum possible energy when all particles are in the excited state. Okay, that will not happen in a real situation because Boltzmann factor is going to govern. That's a governing rule actually. So that is the situation. Quickly, any question here? I hope you got the point here. Okay, this is not necessarily in thermal equilibrium. He hasn't mentioned anything about thermal equilibrium. That's why when all particles are in the ground state, your entropy is 0 because number of microstate is equal to 0. That's a kind of orderness, isn't it? When all particles are in the only one level, when all particles are supposed spin up or spin down, your entropy is 0, isn't it? When half of the particles are spin up, when half of the particles are spin down, your entropy is maximum because it's a kind of more randomness you can think of. And in that case, if half of the particles are spin up, half of the particles are spin down, so your what you call total energy should be 0, isn't it? Because spin up particle will give some positive energy, spin down particle will give negative energy, so that they cancel out. So in that manner also you can quickly select this option. Yeah, any further questions? So shall I move on?
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
Population inversion only happen in case of when system is not necessarily in thermal equilibrium. Am I right, sir?
Yes, again, but this is hypothetical situation. This will not happen in a real sense.
Okay, sir.
Is that okay? This will not happen. That's why again in the laser theory we state that one first. Population inversion cannot happen only with the 2-level system. We state and then we move on to 3-level and 4-level laser system actually. Okay.
Sir.
Yes.
For graph for equilibrium, sir, how it will be?
Graph for equilibrium. That's a good question. I think your minimum entropy situation is yeah, again at 0 Kelvin, all particle can be in the ground state. Am I right? Minus mu h plus mu into h. Okay, n1 is equal to n, n2 is equal to 0. This is the again, this is for t tends to 0, isn't it? Or again, in this case, your energy tends to minus n mu h. Am I right? So number of microstate is equal to 1, entropy is equal to 0. Okay, let me start with this one. This is your energy. Okay, so somewhere here you have minus n mu into h. Your entropy is 0 here, and again when your energy again when entropy will touch some maximum value, so that is the situation when n1 is equal to n by 2, n2 is equal to n by 2. Am I right? Again you have some negative. Yeah, so this is entropy expression. Entropy is 0. Entropy is attaining some maximum value at this situation. Okay, in this situation entropy is maximum, that's equal to kb log of 2 power n. In that situation total energy is equal to 0. Okay, somehow it will touch like this. I hope, again I don't know exact nature of the curve, but you can draw it roughly like this. This is 0 energy, because at when entropy approaches maximum value, this is kb log of 2 power n. Okay, when entropy approaches this value, that means half of the particle in the ground state, half of the particle in the excited state, total energy of the system is 0. Okay, entropy is 0 when all particles are in the ground state. Okay, only this will happen in case of thermal equilibrium. That's a very good question. Is that okay? This region will not appear. Clear? Just reply.
This why this region will not appear, sir?
No, again this region corresponds to positive energy. Am I right? Positive energy will happen when only when number of particles in the plus mu h state is more than number of particles in the minus mu h state. That's a population inversion again. When it is in thermal equilibrium, that will not happen, because your probabilities are guided by mu h, that's proportional to e power minus beta mu h. So probability of getting minus mu h, is equal to e power plus beta mu h, isn't it? Your probabilities are guided by this factor, and I have shown that this probability will tend to half. This probability will tend to half when you have very large temperature, isn't it? I think I have discussed this one in class.
Yes, sir. That means it's approaching to equilibrium. Then it will get maximum.
Not like that. At very high temperature. At very high temperature, again at very low temperature, when T tends to 0, equilibrium can happen at any intermediate temperature, isn't it? Here we are talking about lowest temperature and very high temperature. Okay, when temperature tends to infinity, this possibility will happen when temperature tends to infinity. That's how we take. When temperature is too large, what will happen is half of the particle will be spin up, half of the particle will be spin down, so that total energy would be 0. More randomness would happen. Okay, equilibrium can happen at any middle temperature between 0 degree and infinite, I mean very high temperature actually. So 0 Kelvin or very high temperature. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Yes. So this part would not happen. Okay, just grab the idea. So good question. Any further questions?
Sir, why can't it be a constant graph? Because at thermal equilibrium, equal number of particles are in both states. So why can't it be a constant graph?
Which one? Entropy?
Entropy graph.
Yeah. Entropy is a constant. Okay, that's correct. Again, suppose the whole system is at thermal equilibrium at some temperature T. Okay, then you should model it like this. You should find Z, that is 2 cos hyperbolic beta mu h. Am I right? For single particle. So Z n is equal to Z power whole n, like that. Okay. Now you have to proceed and you have to find your entropy. That's equal to what is that? Kb ln of Z plus beta into E. Okay, beta into average energy. This is the entropy for at some finite temperature. Okay. Now this is the entropy at infinite temperature. This is the entropy when it is in thermal equilibrium at temperature T. So that beta is equal to 1 by Kb into T. That need not be very high. That can be any temperature between 0 to infinity. But this is the entropy, maximum possible entropy, that is Kb log of number of microstate power number of particles. That's how I gave the formula. Am I right? Number of single particle state whole power number of parts. So again, number of single particle energies whole power number of particle. Am I right? So this is when temperature tends to infinity. This is at some temperature T. Okay, in this temperature tends to infinity limit, it is again it is looks like constant because it is approaching its maximum possible value. When it is at thermal equilibrium at temperature T, okay, so it will have this value. When you change the temperature, this entropy will change actually. It can have thermal equilibrium at any ordinary temperature. Don't think that it again, when you leave the system, it will always approach this maximum possible entropy. Okay, that will never happen. It will not what you call it will not automatically attain this one. Okay, don't think like that, but it will attain this one. That is an approach to thermal equilibrium actually. I hope this formula is correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Again, this value will give some value between minus again between 0 and kBln of 2 power n. Okay, this is always less than this maximum possible value. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but entropy will attain maximum value again in an approach to thermal equilibrium. That's correct. That's what we have taken. That's second law of thermodynamics. But again, that doesn't mean entropy will go to very highest value. Okay, that again governed by Boltzmann factor, and again it all temperature dependent factor. Okay, entropy is also again equilibrium entropy is also temperature dependent factor. Remember that one. Is that okay? It's a good question. So shall I move on?
Yes, sir.
I think it takes some time, this particular problem, but let me give some hints, okay? So that tomorrow we shall continue this problem. But tomorrow we shall start next topic, then again slowly we shall cover up whatever the unsolved problem, we shall solve it, okay? Yeah. Consider a heteronuclear diatomic molecule. Can you see this one?
Yes, sir.
Consider a heteronuclear diatomic molecule with a moment of inertia I. In this problem, only rotational motion of the molecule should be considered. Okay. Again, you need some classical mechanics idea, but still, I'll try to do it my best. So I'll try to present it in the best way. Only rotational motion of the molecule is considered. Okay. Now, when you consider only rotational motion, again, you can take some center of mass. You can assume this whole molecule is rotating about some center of mass somewhere here. Okay. Now, when you consider that one, okay, so it will have again usually, if you write your Hamilton, or how to say, if you talk about rotational degree of freedom, it will have only 2 rotational degree of freedom, because if you consider 3 perpendicular axes, okay, so this one, this axis, suppose this is center of mass, okay, and one more axis is perpendicular to that, this one, okay. When you consider this axis, I'll call this one as x here, y here, this one as z axis. One of the axis I'm going to take it through internuclear points, okay. So then if I take this axis through this z axis, okay, through this z axis, there will be no kinetic energy, okay. So the kinetic energy exists only through with these two axes actually, okay. I can just write this one like this. I can write my total energy as Lx square by 2Ix plus Ly square by 2Iy plus Lz square by 2Iz. Can I write this expression? Anyone? Where we write Ix is equal to Iy but not equal to Iz in case of diatomic molecule. Okay, let me take this one, this whole modeling in the diatomic spectra, okay, molecular spectra, okay. We shall have much more discussion about this moment of inertia and all. So now it will have only, again, there will be no kinetic energy if it is rotating about z axis, okay. If diatomic molecule rotates about internuclear axis, there will be no kinetic energy because of that rotation, because the again, if you have this kind of situation, okay, if you rotate about this axis, there will be no distribution of mass actually. So rotational kinetic energy, when you rotate the suppose dumbbell about this kind of axis, that rotational kinetic energy is very low actually. Here I have taken some distribution of the mass, but it's atoms. Those are very point particles, isn't it? That's why. So there is no distribution of mass about the axis of the rotation. That's why rotational energy about this axis is zero actually. That's why what I can write is my energy, that's equal to Lx square by 2I plus Ly square by 2I, because this Ix equal to Iy, I can write 1 by 2I Lx square plus Ly square. Any question regarding this one? Let me explain this one again, okay? Maybe in what do you call classical mechanics, or in our so what is that? Diatomic spectra. Is that okay? Molecular spectra. So that's why one thing you should remember, this is Cartesian way of dealing with that one. So if you try to write in a polar coordinate, you can write it like this: 1 by 2I into, again you can write a Hamiltonian for this. We shall deal with this one, okay? Hamiltonian for diatomic molecule. You can go for two particle system to single particle system conversion like that. You can write like this: 1 by 2I, I think p theta square plus p pi square by sine square theta. I hope so. Okay, we can write this kind of expression in case of Hamiltonian for diatomic molecule. So 2 into mu r square, where mu is actually mu r naught square, where mu is actually reduced mass kind of idea, or I can write as 2 into I itself here, okay, where p theta is what do you call how to say, momentum conjugate to coordinate theta, p phi is momentum conjugate to coordinate phi. Again, those are actually angular momentums, but we call it as conjugate momentum, okay. We shall deal with this one in classical mechanics, but one thing that you can observe here is your energy term contains two quadratic terms. Am I right? Your energies contain two quadratic terms. Look at the first part of the question. Using classical statistical mechanics, calculate specific heat. Classical means, again, you should model your energy classically, either in this way or in this way. Isn't it? It is a polar form of writing the Hamilton. This is a Cartesian form. You can take that idea. Any question? So actually, if this worries how I have written this one 0, okay. So this L can be written as omega into I, okay. So this I may be very small. Let me take the idea that I is very small. When you take Lz square, let me write Lz is equal to omega into Iz, so that Iz will go to numerator, okay. Don't think that Iz, I have written Iz is nearly equal to 0 actually. Moment of inertia about this one is nearly equal to 0 because there are no distribution of mass about the axis. So when masses are along the axis of the rotation, there will be no moment of inertia. Iz is very small actually, but Iz is again, don't think that this expression is going to be infinity because denominator is 0. Okay, you can take Lz is equal to omega into Iz. When you substitute, Iz is going to be in the numerator. Okay, so that I can write this expression 0. So Cartesian way, polar way of writing this one. But one thing you should remember, it contains quadratic term, and I can apply my equipartition theorem whenever I deal with a quadratic term. That's why average energy, that's equal to, that contain two quadratic term, that's equal to half kBT for each quadratic term, that's equal to 3 by 2, sorry, kb into t, okay, or 2 by 2 kb into t, or that's equal to kb into t, okay. So now this is now this is I better write this average energy per particle. I better write this one as small e, because we write that one for one molecule, am I right? Then we take n particle like that, okay. Yeah, now specific heat per molecular size something, that's equal to kb. Suppose if you write so molar specific heat, if you take 1 mole of substance, then this whole thing should be multiplied with Avogadro number, that's equal to R actually, okay. That is one idea. Now look at here I have taken only rotational part, okay. again, he has taken only rotational motion of the molecule should be considered. Okay, that's why I have taken only rotational part. But if you take a gas of diatomic molecule, okay, so just imagine like that. Okay, you have molecule which are diatomic. Okay, so along with this rotation, they will have a translation also. Okay, let me talk. Let me not take vibration into account. There may exist vibration between the so internuclear. So again, vibration between these two also. Let me not take vibration into account. But when I think of rotation plus translation, so when you see the whole system, each of the molecule appear to be a kind of point particle, isn't it? Again, they are having translation motion. You have three, again, if you write energy for the translation, you can write p square by 2m. That's nothing but px square by 2m. So again, p center of mass, okay? Momentum of center of mass whole square by 2m. This is the kinetic energy of the each molecule. Rotational motion that contain two quadratic term. Am I right? Lx square by 2ix, 2i plus ly square by 2i, and because of translation motion you have three term actually, px square by 2m so plus py square by 2m. I better write capital M here because this should be total mass of the molecule, plus pz square by 2m. Okay, so that total number of the quantity term in the energy of each of the particle, including its internal rotation as well as its external motion in the space. Okay, so total number of quadratic term 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, there is 5 quadratic term. Each of the quadratic term will introduce half kBt, so that your average energy per particle is this one. So that specific heat for per mole, okay, let me write specific heat per mole, Cv, that's equal to 5 by 2 into kb into Avogadro number of particles, 5 by 2 into r. And you can observe this one actually, observed experimentally. At quite high temperature, diatomic molecular gas or molecular gas, again where each molecule is diatomic. Okay, so you can observe this kind of specific heat actually. Okay, you can deal with all again you should have this classical approximation should be satisfied. Okay, what is the classical approximation? Density should be very low. Okay, n by v should be very low and temperature should be very high. Only in this regime you can apply your equipartition theorem and you can apply your classical statistics and all. Okay, so that you can observe this one. I think this can be observed at room temperature also. 5 by 2 are specific heat for diatomic molecular. This can be observed at room temperature because room temperature may be quite high for what you call this situation. Okay, any question here quickly?
Sir,
I,
at high temperature, we cannot use this. They say that high temperature, they have this vibrational degree of motion. So it will be 7 by 2.
high temperature,
That
again
is also,
it all different regime. Okay, so that's a very good question. When you go to high temperature, I think you should uh, yeah, you should again vibrational excitation can also happen. Am I right? There exists one more vibrational degree of freedom that may contribute so that it will become 6 by 2, isn't it?
no, 7 by 2. Because vibration in itself will have 2 degrees of freedom. Like for one for rotation, other for translation, like that.
No, rotation is taken here.
No, sir, in the vibrational motion degree will give 2 more degrees of freedom. Today I
Okay, again, wait a second. Again, I got it. Again, we shall solve this one. Can you just note it down after classical mechanics? Yeah. So when you have two molecule, okay, if you take a spring between them, there are two vibrational mode. One mode is like this, okay. This kind of what you call bending, okay, which will have some omega, which will have some frequency. Other mode is this one, okay, where both of them moves in the same manner, where omega is equal to 0. I think this for omega equal to root of k by mu, other one omega equal to 0. This is nothing but translation mode that I have already taken here. Okay, the two mode of vibration you are talking about, one of the mode omega equal to 0, okay, that will have energy 0 actually, corresponds to that mode. So that is nothing but translation mode. Okay, so that's why only one vibrational thing exists, so that it happened to be 6 by 2 R. Okay, if you take vibration into account, but usually at
1 by 2 hour.
yes, tell me
In book it's given 7 by 2 hour. It's not 6 by 2 hour.
which book?
In right itself, sir. I mean, I can send you quotes
I
because they are
mean, so
telling.
can you just so tell me which page?
I'm not sure about the page, but I can send you the links from where I got it 7 by 2 hour.
Okay, but you said you are from is from Reef.
It's rife, it's there, and rife also they have said. At higher temperature, this vibrational degree of freedom will contribute actually 2 degrees of freedom, that KBT itself. So that will give KBT.
Okay, okay,
So
okay,
that
okay,
is
okay.
what.
Wait. Again, the mistake that I might have done is, anyone, can you guess what is the mistake? This is not mode, okay? You said mode. This is not about mode actually. So if you have vibrational, okay, if you have vibrational, that part of energies again, uh, how to write that one? Again, but that is one dimensional vibration actually. Again, that corresponding to that vibration, okay, you can write. Again, you have to convert that again 2 mass system into single particle system or something. Again, you will have p square by 2m plus half m omega square into x square. It will also have 2 quadratic term because of 2 more quadratic term of vibration. Ritesh, is that okay? So that's correct idea. Are you getting my point? But here, while finding this one, you should be careful. Okay, I mean, while writing vibrational energy, you can write vibrational energy in this way actually. For 2 particle system, I think you better to convert the 2 particle system into single particle system or something, or you can go to one of the center of mass, you can and you can define other thing. Okay, so and again, that 2, you should not say that equal to 2 mode. Okay, you should say it contains 2 quadratic term. Our equipartition theorem says half kbt for each quadratic term. Am I right? So that's how this becomes 7 by 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. After classical mechanics, remind me. Okay, this is quite important problem. Okay, because when we discuss this problem, lot of things are again some classical mechanics, some molecular spectra thing, some statistical physics part. Lot of things are actually touched here in this particular question. That's why you better to remind me during the last revision, okay, to discuss this particular question again. Yeah, that's how I think. Ritesh, are you getting my point? 2 quadratic term
Yes,
for
sir.
vibration, but only one mode. Okay, only one mode. That's why, so total number of degree of freedom. Again, our equipartition theorem deals with not actually modes, it will deal with a quadratic term. Okay, but writing this one again, we should think on that one. Okay, I think I better write some I better fix my coordinate at one of the molecule, and I can think of other molecule vibration and all. And that's how I can write. Or I think yeah, we shall see this one after classical mechanics. Okay, how to deal with that one. Okay, but obviously vibrational motion, it will have 2 degree of freedom, its own degree of freedom. Okay, vibrational kinetic energy, vibrational potential energy. That's why it will introduce 2 more, but these are one dimensional. Okay, I better write px here, one dimensional part. But this is not its translation motion. Okay, this kinetic energy is because of vibrational motion. Okay, so that's why I think this vibrational motion is included at very high temperature, not at room temperature. Okay, at high temperature, and you can neglect this part at ordinary room temperature. As I heard, at room temperature you can observe 5 by 2 R. When you go for very high temperature, you can observe, as you said, 7 by 2 R. Is that okay? Still, discussion is not complete. We shall have a discussion on this one. But so right now, what he is expecting is, he is expecting what is the rotational contribution to specific heat. Rotational contribution to specific heat is, that's equal to, what is that? Half kbt plus half kbt, that average energy is kbt. So rotational contribution is kb per what you call kb per molecule. Okay, so that for again a specific heat per mole, that's equal to Avogadro number into kb, that's equal to R. Okay, that's what you have to what you call write down here. Yeah, I think I have to take next part later. Okay, you can take this one and you can find the what you call specific heat for low temperature. For low temperature, you can't have continuous again classical expression of energy. You should take quantum expression of energy for diatomic molecule, and you have to deal with the partition function and all. And again, when you go for this one, if you take high temperature approximation, you should get the answer of it. Those are the ideas. Yes, tell me.
Sir, gases also exhibit 3 by 2 R specifically.
Yeah, that 3 by 2 are because of translation motion. Look at here, 3 degree of freedom. 3 by 2 are because of this one. R because of this one. Okay. If you go for very high temperature, vibrational, again, it will go to higher and higher vibration state. So that I think it will contribute again. Wait a second. R. What is the contribution? Again, R here. Is that okay? 3 by 2 R is because of translation. I hope you got the idea. That's how our monoatomic gas, it will have 3 by 2 R specific heat. Am I right? Ideal gas. Because it has only translation motion, it doesn't have any internal rotation or something. Only in case of diatomic molecule, those internal rotation and vibration, those will appear. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes. I think we shall give it to a discussion because this covers lot of parts actually. Again, our normal modes, number of degree of freedom, everything. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'll solve next part later in the later classes. I think some more problems remained.